Well there, a Happy New Year greeting would be in order, wouldn't it? You're welcome to this edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. Stay with us as we bring you news reports in the power sector. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, says the federal government is still concerned about the efficient operation of the power sector, even after it has been privatized.
Mr. Fashola, who gave these viewpoints at the December 2018 edition of the NTA Power Dialogue in Abuja, added that government through the ministry has driven key initiatives like the mini-grids and the meter asset providers map to tackle the post-privatization challenges, while the transmission section is being expanded.
Incidentally, again, in fact, today, transmission got approval for a $486 million loan to expand and strengthen its current grid capacity, which is now 7,124 megawatt last simulation, and hopefully take it to 10. A couple of our power projects are coming to conclusion. So the outlook is increased power, increased transmission, hopefully increased distribution if we solve all of the problems, but also increased decentralization and access to power.
While addressing a question on providing transformers, Fashola said the generation and distribution segments of the power sector are now privately owned companies. He, however, expressed government concern to making the sector work, saying,
"This is now a private business by Act of Parliament 2005. My role is regulatory, oversight and policy. But I have a problem. I can't see a problem and turn my back. So I'm getting involved. But I'm trying to separate what the law allows me to do. So the people you should be talking to about transformer is not me. Ministry doesn't supply transformer anymore. It's your disco. The people who should be responding to your meter issue is the people who bought the asset."
Speaking on the quantum leap in power supply across the nation, Fashola recalled that the policy outlined laid by his ministry at inception set out a roadmap to first get incremental power and then go to steady power and then to uninterrupted power.
We set out our roadmap first to get incremental power. We were clear what we wanted to do, and then we will go to stable power, and then we will get to uninterrupted power. That's our last mile. And uninterrupted power is not just a function of how much you have, it's also a function of how well you manage it. We don't have enough yet. So in terms of our first leg, incremental power, we have delivered what we promised. We have increased the power on all sides.
The minister said the improvements in the power sector reflected in the growth of the gross domestic product, GDP, as revealed by the 2018 third quarter statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. He said,
"The third quarter GDP results announced was 1.81% growth. That is up from 1.50 in quarter two. It's not enough, but it means that we're heading in the right direction, back up. What is also important to share is that the growth was driven by non-oil sectors. Electricity was the biggest contributor, 18%.
To promote rural electrification, the minister announced the approval of the Federal Executive Council of a $350 million World Bank loan for off-grid renewable energy expansion through the Rural Electrification Agency, REA.
We have identified 300 such communities who do not even have access. So while we are battling with the grid in the urban centers, those people just even are not connected. We have done an audit and will run a pilot of 70 of those communities in the next few months. So where are we? Today, Federal Executive Council approved the loan, I think $350 million targeted at off-grid, solar, renewable, and all of that to make the entire thing bankable. We are not going to implement, we are going to take project developers and all of that, and this is where all of that money, so that we can get many more goers going. So access. What are we likely to see? More people connected and accessing energy without necessarily going on the grid. And those of you who know more than I do, we know that all of the countries we want to be like have both systems running simultaneously.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says it is making moves to synchronize the national grid frequency to the standard approved by the West African Power Pool, WAP, for energy export to other WAP member countries.
The Managing Director, CEO of TCN and Chairman WAP Executive Board, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, who disclosed this at a meeting of the Joint Technical Working Group of WAP in Abuja recently, said it was to ensure that Nigeria could export the excess and stranded electricity to other African countries. Mr. Mohammed, however, noted that Nigeria's grid frequency must be synchronized with those of WAP member countries to facilitate the success of the ECOWAS regional electricity trade.
The ECOWAS regional electricity market was launched in June this year as part of effort to ensure the realization of the mandate given to WAP by the Authority of Head of States of ECOWAS about 2 decades ago is being realized. WAP was mandated to establish a mechanism and institutionalize a framework for integrating the national power systems of ECOWAS member countries into a unified regional electricity market with the aim of addressing the energy needs of ECOWAS citizens by providing medium and long-term and a regular and reliable energy at competitive costs. To achieve this, you all agree that there is need to ensure the entire WAP interconnected power system, which currently operates a 3 synchronized block, must be successfully synchronized and operate as one.
The TCN boss and WAP chairman said his administration since 2017 has been committed to achieving a synchronized grid amongst member states.
For the first time, forced the implementation of the frequency control, which led us to achieve a frequency control of 49.5 and 50.5. That was achieved in June 2017, and it was sustained.
He also announced a strategy that will further synchronize the Nigeria grid with that of other WAP member countries, saying,
"But I'm happy to tell you that about 1 month ago, we have decided to implement a strategy that will lead us to achieve frequency control of 49.80 to 50.20 Hz, which is the WAP standard."
The WAP chairman said the meeting was held at the instance of the WAP Executive Secretary, Mr. Segiu Ki Apollonia, to strengthen issues on grid frequency synchronization as he expressed faith in the technical working group.
I'm confident that the technical working group will work assiduously to ensure the recommendations from the synchronized study are implemented in a timely manner to ensure successful and sustained synchronization of WAP interconnected system.
The Director of Information and Coordination Center, DICC, at WAP, Mr. Abdulkadir Nazif, commended the TCN management team for the unconditional support it gives to WAP. He highlighted the roles the various technical working groups had played in 2018, saying,
"We are here for the next 3 days to achieve the following objectives. Number one, to review and discuss the level of implementation of the prerequisites and condition precedents recommended by the synchronization study. Discuss the status of follow-up action plans for the synchronization project. Discuss the status of previous tasks assigned by the working groups to the working groups, and discuss the frequency performance of the WAP system as it obtains now."
Mr. Nazif said the meeting would enable the Joint Technical Working Group brainstorm and produce robust plans for realizing the frequency synchronization objectives.
It's my earnest expectation that by the close of this meeting, an updated action plan for the synchronization would have been defined and updated. We would have refined our roadmap and at least crafted detailed action plans for the short-term objectives.
Let's take a break for a message. Please stay tuned.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
You're still watching Power Wheel. The federal government has tasked operators of electricity firms to comply with the extant rules and operational codes in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NESI.
The Permanent Secretary, Power, Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Louis Edozin, in his address at a stakeholders meeting on grid metering in Abuja, enjoined participants at the meeting to support the federal government's efforts in making power from the grid cheaper and reliable through its reforms.
The purpose of this meeting is to move us closer to the objective of ensuring that the power from the grid is the cheapest, which it already is, we know, that it serves the purpose, it's reliable, it's available. I think that's really what we're here to discuss.
Mr. Edozin highlighted his expectations from the meeting with regards to generation companies complying with the grid code for grid frequency stability, delivery of spending reserves, and the automated meter reading tools.
The second expectation is with regard to the free governor mode of operation and generally compliance with the grid code. I think the message I want all of you to unequivocally articulate is that there's no going back. People should just obey the rules, but the rules should be clearly spelled out.
The Managing Director, CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Osman Gold Mohammed, in his speech announced a plan to take electricity transmission wheeling capacity to 10,000 megawatts by the first half of 2019.
I'm happy to also tell you that we did another simulation in addition to the previous simulation we did in December, and the capacity of the grid as of October was slightly above 8,000 megawatts. I want to also tell you we have a plan to immediately shift it to between 10,000 and 11,000 by second quarter of 2019 by simply buying conductor, and we're going to the conductors on key lines so that we optimize some transformer capacities that we have that we could not optimize them because of the line limitation.
He said the Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program, TREP, a program that entails building new substations and installing transformers while rehabilitating existing ones, will expand the electricity transmission capacity to 20,000 megawatts by 2021.
You know, we have this Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program, which is seeks to stabilize and and expand the grid to about 20,000 megawatts by 2021. What I want to tell you on this is that we are on track. We are not there. We are still on track to meet the capacity of the grid at 20,000 megawatts by 2021.
Mohammed said, through the innovation of TCN staff, the company has recovered a conductor that can take double quantum of electricity through the 132 kV transmission lines at optimal capacity to supply more bulk electricity.
We have done the procurement process. We've sent it to the World Bank. We got no objection yesterday. So we are going to sign contract with the contractor that will supply us gap conductor. We call them gap. These gap conductors are light in weight. They also have the safety element that we have in some of the conductors that we have, including the galvanized steel, the galvanized steel or steel reinforced. It's still reinforced, and it can sometimes carry a temperature. It can withstand a temperature of 210 degrees centigrade, which is far higher than the current conductors that we have, which means that sagging will be very, very minimal in that conductor. So once we do, we finish the procurement, we are finished the procurement. Once the contractors supply the conductors, we are going to use TCN engineers to do the conducting.
Other participants from the generation companies, GENCOs, the distribution companies, DISCOs, and other relevant agencies expressed their views at the meeting. Representative of Omotosho GENCO, managed by the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC, sought intervention on regulating voltage on the transmission line connecting the plants. Responding, Mr. Mohammed explained the interventions TCN has for the line, saying,
that line we are building from Omotosho to Erekun, which is being done by Inago, we deliberately took a decision to upgrade the line from the 1,200 capacity that is supposed to carry to 2,700. Inago has given us their bill, which will increase the cost by 13%, and we are finalizing the document. We are sending it to FEC for FEC approval because we believe that we need to wheel more power from that Omotosho to Erekun, because you know that is the power that will supply the Lagos Ogun transmission project, which I was telling you we are building so many capacities around that. That's the power. So this is what we are doing, and it's one of the priority projects that we are not playing with as an organization.
The management and staff of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has honored the retired executive staff of the company as it celebrates the increased electricity wheeling capacity that reached 8,100 megawatts in 2018.
At the event in Abuja, the Managing Director CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, said the retired executive directors contributed immensely towards the progress the company recorded.
And we want to honor some of our executives who retired sometime last year. You know, it's not easy to work in the environment they work. We achieve certain level of progress, but you have to appreciate the fact that these people work very hard.
He commended the Minister of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, and the Permanent Secretary Power, Minister of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Louis Edozin, for the sustained support TCN receives in delivering on its mandates.
I have called you so that we can rejoice a little, to appreciate what we have also done. At least transmission, we have reformed transmission to some extent, but the journey is still remaining. We still have so many places to go, but at least we have started something that is leading somewhere. So because of that, we believe that within this year, last year we didn't celebrate anything, even though we moved transmission from near 5,000 to 7,124. I believe that this year we should rejoice. Why should we rejoice? We have maintained the frequency control of 49.5 and 50.5. When we did that in May last year, some people said this is going to be something that will not last long. But PAMSEC, I want to tell you that it has lasted. And not only lasted, we have actually started implementing a strategy that will lead us to achieve 49.75 and 50.25. And we're going to get there.
While Mohammed said his team was focused on implementing the Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program (TREP) to increase transmission capacity, he said,
"It's also a cheering news to know that the capacity of the grid is no longer 7,124, but the capacity of the grid is now 8,100. And I want to tell you that we are not stopping there. We have just concluded a procurement arrangement to buy high-capacity conductors. And with this high-capacity conductor, we are going to recover several places where we have transformer capacity and there's no line to take them."
Minister of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, who was represented by the Special Advisor on Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Abiodun Oke, said,
"The reward for hard work is more work. That's what we got from Lagos. The reward for hard work is more work. And I'm sure with the patience of Nigerians now, even very near future, everything will be bright in terms of energy in Nigeria." Thank you very much, and I congratulate both the board, management, and staff of TCN.
The Permanent Secretary, Louis Edozin, lauded the TCN management and staff for the success that they have recorded as he urged them to strive for more.
I will just say congratulations to the management and the entire staff and the former management of TCN. Very well done. More to come.
The Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, Mr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagode, also acknowledged the significant role TCN and Mr. Mohammed played as the chairman of the West African Power Pool, WAP, to make the institute a center of excellence.
They've done a lot, at least from my own perspective as a capacity building institute in the power sector. You can see the slides. I mean, they've trained more than 300 staff of TCN, and we're still counting. In the first quarter of next year, we're really building on, to take another, twice, that number. So, UJ, congratulations.
Highlights of the party included the airing of a well-packaged documentary on TCN achievements under the present management, honoring the retired directors with plug, and the unveiling of winners in the company-wide search for vision, mission statements, and core values.
Up next is Soundbite of the Week.
We are happy that we are here, and all the support we get from the minister and the president, we are able to do certain things that many people could not do in the past. For example, we have the capacity to take over every contract that they refuse to perform. For example, we forcibly take over Damaturu, and we completed it in a record period of 1 month. This has never happened in the history of Nigeria. If you go to Damaturu now, some of the bulbs that don't light before, they are lighting, because we have a 330 kV substation there. We forcibly take over that contract. The contract was awarded in 2006, and that contract lingered up to this time. We asked the contractor to complete several letters. We took over and we completed it. It's because we have the enabling environment. That's what we're able to do.
More news reports in the Power Flash segment. Viewer, this is where we draw the curtain. It's been great having you in 2018, and 2019 will be even greater. You can always reach us through the platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Have a blessed new year.